But trust me. All right?
And welcome to Go Watch a Movie episode 92. I'm Kelvin.
And I'm Robert.
Oh, what a glorious day. MidSommar day, one might say. That's right. Today, folks, we are doing the film MidSommar. Not sure. But I've heard it pronounced both ways. But yes, before we get into that, we're going to do a little bit of entertainment news. So Warner Media has finally jumped into the streaming service, streaming race, I should say, with their new HBO Max. It's going to feature tons of freaking properties that are already out there. Friends is going from Netflix to it. Lots of the CW series. Robert, do you have room in your heart for another streaming service?
Nah, I mean, no, I don't. Not really. Sorry, I don't know. I don't. It doesn't matter.
I think Friends will pull a lot of people to this one, and that's odd to say, but like people went crazy when Netflix was going to pull Friends. Cause I think it's one of those shows people just put on before bed or in the background when nothing's on, and I think that's a smart move for them to pay whatever they paid for that and get it on there, because it alone will bring some people over. But yeah, I mean it's got potential because it's part of Warner Brothers, True TV, which means Impractical Jokers, Cartoon Network, TNT, TBS, DC Entertainment, Adult Swim, and all that stuff, so on and so forth. So it'll even CNN, I guess. So I mean, it has the potential, and it may have Netflix a little scared. Because those are some Warner and Turner together own a lot of properties. So and I don't know if the Netflix, what is it? We're gonna make X amount of original content over the next 5 years is going to be able to compete with some of the name brand stuff. But yeah, that's just my take.
I feel like it's going to become oversaturated though eventually. Like everybody's going to come out with their own thing, so you're going to end up paying more for a ridiculous amount to get all this different stuff. Yeah. I think the wisest choice would be for whoever, to just conglomerate everything together. So there's just a one-stop thing. At a reasonable price. I don't understand why that isn't, somebody hasn't jumped on and been like, what, this is a good idea. Let's do this.
I agree. That's hopefully that's in the future, but because I mean, I paid for about 3 of them already, and I don't want to keep adding to that. Right. That'll bring us to Samuel Jackson, motherfuckers. He is joining Chris Rock in the next Saw movie, the new Saw movie. Not 100% sure if, because Chris Rock was reportedly, went to the creators of Saw and pitched them an idea. They loved it. So he's overseeing this one. And now Samuel Jackson's jumping in. Not 100% sure if it's going to extend onto the Saw universe or create a entirely new thing. But I'm down for Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson. Yeah,
I'd like to see the two of them make something original, though. I mean, I don't necessarily think we just need to spin off of something that's already there.
Yeah, especially with so many of them.
Yeah, I'm always going to push for that original content, because I think we need to get away from all these remakes and redos and prequels and whatever else they come up with. I just think we need more original content.
That is a good point, sir. I mean, what is Samuel going to play, a cop, or
is it a new Jigsaw? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that would be amazing right there. That would shut up and take my money. Last but not least, the Spider-Man Far From Home director knows who he wants to be the next Spidey villain. Can you take a guess, sir?
I cannot. I'm not even going to try.
Kraven the Hunter.
Ooh.
Yeah, with what they've done so far of making lesser knowns in the forefront, I'm all for a live action Craven. I think that would be spectacular.
And it actually kind of makes sense with how the last movie ended.
Yeah, yes.
If he becomes sort of public enemy number one, I think, yeah. I mean, that's a super interesting concept, and I would love to see Spider-Man on the run.
Yeah, and who better to be chasing him than the ultimate hunter?
Yep.
That will bring us to trailer. You first to me, sir.
Go right ahead.
Alrighty. I'm going to go with one that I never thought I'd be saying in a million years on this podcast. Mulan.
Okay. I saw I watched it.
It looks like they're not going to do all the dancing and singing, which some of the live actions have adapted. Some songs, some haven't. But
it could be a trick, though. It could be a trap.
Yeah. All of a sudden it opens with "We'll make a man out of you," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, it looks damn good, and I love the story of Mulan. Well, I shouldn't say love. I enjoy the story of Mulan, and I like that culture, like seeing that culture in action. And I think Disney will do it right because they've so far, in my opinion, as much as people frown upon them, and we just spoke about how remakes and reboots need to stop. I'm enjoying the live action versions of these movies. I haven't seen one that I hated so far. So, but Lion King's in 10 days, so we'll see.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, my pick. It's another Netflix gem. It's got the guy from Stranger Things. The cop,
big fella.
It's called Hellboy. It's called Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein. Yes. And the reason why I gravitate towards this trailer is because it's kind of odd, and I'm always drawn to things that are different, and because it's going to be for an interesting watch. Even if it's not good, it looks like it's going to be something different, and just seeing something different is going to be refreshing. And basically, the plot is like, I guess this guy is doing a documentary on his dad, who used to make plays for TV, and he's like finding out all this stuff about him that maybe he didn't want to find out, because obviously he's his son, so he's probably got a high vision of what his dad was, or so. I guess he's going to find out a lot of stuff that maybe upsets him. The title's a little weird, and it's funny that the dad looks just like the son, except for goatee. So to be able to pull that, it gives it kind of a dark humor thing. It's like it's obviously the same dude, and they're not really even trying to mask it at all. So I don't know if it's just supposed to be taken like as dark humor or what's going on, but it just looks super different to me. So I find that interesting, and that's what my pick is for this.
I gotta agree that does look different. It is something that I really want to see, because despite Hellboy's performance, he was fine, So just the story. But yes, speaking of weird things and odd things, that will bring us to our feature here. MidSommar. Watchbot, if you would not mind.
With their relationship in trouble, a young American couple travel to a fabled Swedish midsummer festival where a seemingly pastoral paradise transforms into a sinister, dread-soaked nightmare as the locals reveal their terrifying agenda. Director, Ari Aster. It stars Florence Pugh, Jack Reiner, Wilhelm Blomgren, William Jackson Harper and Will Poulter. This one made even me trip balls.
Thank you, Watchbots. Wow. Where do you start with this one?
Start at the beginning.
I know we're supposed to, but
let me jump into the beginning, because I had this weird moment in the movie, which I want to share. It's not really a great story or whatever, but it starts out all the majestic scenery of like this, snow-covered forest.
Yeah.
And it's such a cliche. Movies do this all the time. They start out this way, and it's so annoying because you're like, okay, I get it. This is the setting, it's peaceful, tranquil, blah blah blah, and they show it, and I'm almost bored right from the very beginning. I'm like, this isn't how this movie is going to start, is it? And then an alarm goes off, and you get snapped back to reality, and you're like in her apartment or something.
Yep.
And I thought that was just a perfect way to open this movie.
I did too.
I thought that was super impressive.
Because you're right. Every movie starts like that. Like, and I was like, oh, it's going to cut to somebody being chased through the woods or some bullshit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I didn't expect that loud, the alarm, so whatever it was. I can't remember if it was a phone or if it was an alarm. I
think it was a phone because she was trying to get a hold of her parents.
It was a phone. Yeah, it was a phone. But I just remember like just being snapped out of that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was perfect the way they started it. That's where I'd like to start anyway. There.
I'm gonna do one harsh critique here, and then I think everything else is gonna be good. But my one harsh critique: this movie is 78% Wicker Man.
Yeah, and the guy who wrote it, Ari Aster, I believe you pronounce his name. I think I heard somewhere he admitted that was part of his influence for making this one.
Okay.
Was man, and he even throws a hint in there, or a little. I guess I don't know if you call it an Easter egg or not, but when the whole bear thing, Nicolas Cage was in the bear costume, and so there's like a bear in this movie, and and that's purposeful, because he's paying tribute to his source material, where you got that idea. So it is very much Wicker Man.
Yeah, I had not read that.
He didn't try to hide. I believe I heard that somewhere. Don't quote me on it, but I don't think he tried to hide it anywhere. I think it was in an interview or something. He didn't try to hide it. He was just like, yep, this is some of the inspiration for my idea.
But other than that, and I shouldn't even use that as a critique because it did everything Wicker Man tried to do, but better, in my opinion.
Yes.
There was no wasted shot in this movie. No wasted shot. No wasted sound. Like, it is gorgeous, and just everything sounds like it should sound, if that makes sense. Like when there should be silence. Two people were having a conversation. There's no need for intense, crazy music underneath it. It's just two people having. So there's just dead silence, and I listened for that stuff, not on purpose, but it just became. I became more aware of it the more I watched the movie.
Yeah, I also feel like this isn't a movie for everybody. I feel like this is like a movie watcher's movie. Yeah. Like you really got to get into it, and because some people will think it's boring or it's too long, and there's not enough action. It's like a slow drain on you, definitely. But it's worth it once you get there.
What would you classify this as? Because it's not necessarily a horror film. Some of the things are horrific.
I think it's more, for me, it's more like a psychological horror movie. Or maybe a psychological thriller. I mean, I think it is classified just as horror. I think that's kind of almost not belittling it, but it's so much more than that. It's so much. There's so much thought. It goes a lot deeper than just your average horror movie. So if it is horror, it's just horror of the highest caliber.
Agreed. Your overall synopsis, sir, what did you think of this one?
I thought it was great. I mean, I will say your complaint that it was very Wicker Man-ish does kind of give away some things that are probably going to happen.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you've already seen Wicker Man, you're familiar with it. I mean, this one isn't going to seem like this great, unique, original idea. It's going to seem.
But at the same time, it is.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and I think it's pretty much supposed to be just like a metaphor for their relationship and how it breaks down. It's supposed to be about her being so isolated and then becoming a part of something bigger. I mean, there's a whole lot going on in this one, and it's just a huge thinker. And I don't think everybody likes a thinker movie, but so if you don't like a thinker movie, this probably isn't going to be a great movie for you. No. But I mean, there's so much thought in it. There's so many like hints at what's going to happen throughout the movie. They
basically literally paint you the story of what's going to happen throughout the movie. It's great.
Yeah, and there's some odd things in there that I didn't really. I mean, minor critiques. I thought it was funny. Like at one point where I know we're getting off track here, but just an example. They were like walking towards that triangle-shaped building that they're forbidden to go into.
Yeah.
Like, why? And there's nothing else there. They were just walking towards that building, and they're like, "Yeah, what's that? Oh, we can't go in there." So they all turn and go somewhere else. It was just funny that they were purposely walking towards it, and there's nothing else there except for maybe a bear, except for the bear.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was weird.
It's a bear.
We're just going to ignore the bear.
It's a bear.
And then I thought it was weird because I feel like there was more groups of people who came from the rest of the world, and then they just more than just I can't remember his name, the Swedish friend Pele or something, whatever his name was, and then his brother, because those are the main guests that end up having a bigger picture towards the end of the movie. But all those other people that you see walking in.
But my thought was maybe that those were other family members who did not bring people because they were just dressed as outsiders. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure.
It's very possible, but it just felt like it makes you think that there's more people. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like the purpose. What's that? There
were only 6 outsiders, correct? By the end, the 4 friends that he brought, and then the 2.
Then the 2. Yep, because I think everybody else just basically disappears during the course of the movie. I thought that was weird that they're just gone all of a sudden. And there's like more beds in there than just for the 6 of them.
Dear Lord,
so I felt like I thought that was a weird part that made me think. I was like, well, maybe I don't know if that was purposeful or they just wanted to focus in on that group or what was going on. But anyway,
yeah. Well, I have to go the same route. I just thought it was beautiful, and I want to watch it in 4K, and I want to just sit and I want to have some shrooms while watching. But yeah, I sat there, I wasn't bored, and it's a 2-hour, 30-minute movie, and I saw that, I was like, this is supposed to be a horror movie. You're not supposed to.
I don't feel like
It doesn't feel like it. No.
Yeah, it doesn't feel long. Basically, it starts with after that scene we already described with the trees, and then the phone call.
Yeah,
I guess she's you find out very quickly the main character is very dependent on her boyfriend and other people.
Yes.
And so she's trying to get a hold of her family because her sister sent her a email or something saying that she was just done.
Her sister who is bipolar.
Yeah, it was bipolar. And I feel like Danny also had some mental issues, not like full-blown, not bipolar, like completely, maybe just depression or something. It could have just been because, she lost some people in the very beginning of the movie. But that's how it starts. You find out that sister sent her an email, and then she gets a phone call from, I'm assuming it's the police, because her sister commits suicide and then also murders her parents at the same time.
And that is the way she did, not just her parents, but the way she chose to do herself.
Yeah, she completely attached that hose right to her face instead of just letting it go. It was
so people, just to paint you a picture, and hopefully you've seen this and you're joining in on the conversation. But
yeah, we should have warned them about the spoilers right off the bat.
But she, someone who was sit in the garage, close all the doors, and seal off all the cracks. That's what she did basically, except to her whole house. She used hoses from the back of the car's exhaust and put them under her parents' door, duct taped that shut. Then I'm assuming went into her own room and put a mask over her mouth and tape that to herself, and just had to be a horrible way to go. I mean,
absolutely.
Well, actually, I've heard, I guess, that's one of the, because you just kind of slowly go to sleep. But I would imagine with the holes in your mouth, that's going to be pretty.
That's blunt.
But it seemed like at the start of this, and don't assume things, but I was assuming that they weren't together very long, because he seemed like he was pretty fed up with her. She seemed to be this annoying person. The friends were like, dude, you really need to break up with her. And he's kind of seemed in agreement until this tragedy happened.
Yeah, basically, there was no way out for him then, because you don't just do that to somebody when something bad happens.
Yeah.
That's really, even though he was already a crappy person, it's like,
yeah,
I guess he was in that level of crappy. Like I said, I've been together, 4 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. He thought 3.5, but
yeah, and I guess for a year he's been wanting to break up with her, but just hadn't.
Yeah, which is, I mean, you guys, if you're not in love, you gotta go. You gotta go, because hot dog. But I could see why, like that level of dependence. Just a brief visit we got into their relationship. I don't know, man. She seemed a bit. There was something, like you said, something a bit wrong with her.
Ever so slightly. It's just that whole dependency thing. I don't know where that comes from. I'm not going to attempt to psychoanalyze her, but I mean, she definitely had that age, and they played it out. I mean, they wanted it to be apparent, like that she had that. And I think it plays in perfectly to the rest of the movie about feeling wanted and part of a family, because she goes from being completely like just feeling alone and just out there, and to being completely surrounded by people who feel what she feels. So I completely understand why that was put in there the way it was.
And they're kind of like her. Crazy.
I guess I don't think they were that crazy. Well, they were different.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a different culture. Yeah. I'm not saying anything they did was correct by my standards, because I wouldn't. I mean, at a certain age, I'm not just going to jump off a cliff and kill myself. That's just not how I feel. I want to go out. But that apparently was accepted in this particular culture.
And then you get taken back, into where it's a cycle, as she described.
So we meet our characters, and then they decide. I guess the first time we really find out about, I guess, her main dependency is because her friends reveal that they're going to Sweden, and then I guess it's the first time she's hearing that he's definitely going.
2 weeks before he was going to go.
It was going to be during. And it was going to be during her birthday, too.
Yeah, which this self-absorbed asshole completely forgets. Because, his character is he's pretty self-absorbed. He wants to do his own thing. He doesn't want this extremely clingy person always clinging. And his friends are no help. Like, they're, other than the Swedish fellow who...
He was the most wicked one of them all the surface.
Yeah, at the same time, he was the most caring. But yeah, like Robert just said, at the same time, he's wicked as fuck because he had an underlining plan for being so caring.
Yeah, and he knew exactly who these people were. He was only friends with these people and invited them because he recognized how self-absorbed and selfish this one guy was, how the other people completely supported him, and how they were, I guess self-absorbed in their own ways. And then he was most excited for the girl because she was the most isolated person and knew that she would probably more than likely join the family.
Yes. Because she needed she needed family, so he realized that. But let's talk about the other friends. Let's talk about Mark. What do you think of Mark?
Oh my goodness.
Hats off to the guy who played him, because he made me hate and despise that fellow as he was supposed to. Will Poulter? Is that how you say his name? Poulter? He's been in the I think the Maze Runner movies.
Yeah, I've seen him in other stuff before.
Yeah.
I've seen him pee on an ancestral tree, though.
This guy was like, he seemed intelligent at first, but then at the same time, he just someone should tell those girls they walk stupid.
Yeah, there's some nice one-liners in this movie. They come out of nowhere.
Yeah. But yeah, he's kind of turned out like an asshole, basically. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Josh just seemed like he really, really, really wanted to be the smartest person in the room.
Yes, very much so.
No matter the cost. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, Pele, we went over. Pele is the one with the underlying intention. And then Danny is the last but not least. But these friends go to Sweden for a month and a half is the plan. Mm-hmm. And they get there. The first thing they do is take some shrooms, which I am not a shroom master or by any stretch of the imagination, but someone in Danny's state, or Dana should not take shrooms.
No, that's a bad trip. That's going to be a really bad trip because she's dealing with. There's I can't remember where it's at. I think it's in Brazil or something. There's some, I can't remember the name. I'm not even going to try to say it. I can butcher it. But I guess there's like some place you go and you get some like witch doctor's juice or something, some like root or something, and you take it. Sexual. And you and you have this massive, crazy trip. But it's supposed to, like, if you have any demons, it's supposed to help you work that stuff out. So that's what I was thinking when this stuff they kept taking all that that juice what they were drinking. It was like spring water mixed with roots, they said. Mm-hmm. And every time I was always thinking about that, like they were like doing what those people do like down wherever, or like Southern America, I guess, and they take this stuff and it just helps them work out their mental issues, however, by going inward instead of trying to take care of it in the real world.
But I love the visuals of how they depict that, like the grass coming through her, the way the trees in the background moves, like it was a warpness to them. Like it wasn't just wind blowing; they just kind of it was beautiful the way they depicted that.
And Pele, when he was doing it, like he was just sitting there as calm as all get out. He wasn't like having a bad trip or anything. And he was like explaining to him, like, can't you feel it?
The earth vibrating through you.
The earth energy. And, and then somebody else in the town had explained how it opens you up to the experience or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I think that was all just in preparation for whoever was going to be open enough to join the family. That's how they found them, is just by helping them, open up in that way instead of, in that spiritual way, I guess.
And Mark's like, we should lay down.
It feels everybody really good.
Why doesn't anybody lay down? But yeah. And then even as they're driving up before that part, like the camera does this flip upside down thing, saying, like indicating you're going to a different world. Well, you're no longer in Kansas, motherfuckers. But yeah, then they get to the commune colony thing, and I don't know. Would you go to something like this? Underlying evil, unbeknownst to you? Would you like? Would this be something?
Not having seen the movie, but I mean. It sounds like a safe thing. Your friend's like super nice, and he's just like, we're going to go visit my family. I'm like, I'm assuming his family's got to be super nice too. You don't think they're going to be murderers.
Leatherface, scaring wearing, murdering son of a bitch.
There's no way you can anticipate that. And it was very much off the beaten path because they're walking on the road and they're like, just turn right here or whatever direction they went.
Seemingly walked for quite a while.
So you ain't finding your way out of that, or ain't nobody coming to find you. I mean, it's pretty out there.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get there and it's the first day is festival, just a celebration before the 9-day festival starts. Hot diggity dog. And when it starts, oh my God, does it start? Mm-hmm. First day wasn't the leap of faith, was it?
It was somewhere right there in the beginning. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was day one or day two.
I think at first there was just like a dinner or something.
Yeah, and because they introduced him. Yeah. But this ceremony is part of it is getting rid of the elder too, which to Pele's credit, he did not lie about.
Yeah, he made the finger under the gesture. She asked him,
so what? Because he was describing the years of which, like, you work this time, you go to learn this time, and then she's like, what happens at 72? And he's like, I
feel like the one elder was upset that they didn't prepare them better, but I feel like that was purposeful. Like they weren't really supposed to be prepared.
I agree. I think that was another test. I think it was all a test for them. Like, because Pele didn't prepare, the other people. they just didn't flip out. Like, well, I can't say they didn't flip out. Was a completely logical reaction to what they witnessed.
Yeah, the couple really went crazy. Yeah. But Danny was, after the initial shock, was fairly reserved. Like she kind of just kind of bit her tongue and just kind of waited and just kind of absorbed and then
once again the sounds came in too. Like I loved like the breathing as the breathing got intense as they went up the cliff. So what happens, people, is the two elders were selected to basically be sacrifices. Not sacrifices, I guess, but to give back to the colony, because these two elders, the newborns will take their names and they'll live on through these newborns, so on and so forth. But they walk up to the highest freaking possible cliff right outside the little village and leap off one at a time, and they do not sugarcoat the landing impact at all.
I feel like that was real effects too. I don't think that there was some CG in there, but I feel like that there were some real effects used, which I appreciated. Yeah,
those were for sure practical effects like that. Like even like you could barely notice the cutting of the switch between dummy and human. And then when then they show the face after the impact, because the woman who jumps, and right before she jumps, there's this amazing scene of her reaching up to the heavens and the camera pans down on top of her. And my God, that was breathtaking. I don't know why, but it just was. And then the whole time you have Danny's breathing all like super heavy. And then the woman makes eye contact with her. And then this silence hits, this calmness. And then the leap happens and smash. Now, one thing we're neglecting to mention here is in the crowd, everyone's worshiping and, all up in arms. And there is a man standing there with a giant mallet.
Yes.
Now, instantly, you got to know what this mallet's for. Relief.
Yes. I feel like the woman did it perfectly, though. Like, she hit that rock. She knew what she was aiming for. The guy just jumped and just went straight down on his legs. I'm thinking, how did he think he was going to, finish the job doing that?
Yeah.
So that's when the hammer came in.
It's hammer time.
It's hammer time.
And it wasn't like, I'm laughing now, but it was not a funny scene at all.
You're watching it, you're pretty shocked because you're almost feeling what the people, some of the people in the audience were feeling.
Because it was literally, and that's another thing about like the way this movie was shot. It makes you feel like you're part of the group. The camera working, like the way they position the cameras makes you feel like you're in there. Some scenes you become one member of the group, literally, and like you see from their eyes. Other scenes, it feels like you're running with them, or you're like. I love that effect, but yeah. So old man doesn't die. Old man breaks his legs. It's probably kind of like the Chucky guy.
Yeah, he's in pain and he's screaming. I mean, they even mentioned it in the movie. It's like, that didn't sound like joy, to be ending your life. That sounded like somebody who's in complete agony.
And the villagers start screaming as well. And then the guy with the mallet passes it off to another guy with a mallet and two others. And they go up and smash his face in. And
they all take a turn.
And it was like, once again, the effects in that were pretty amazing, grotesque, but at the same time amazing, because it looked like his face that was being smashed in, and they all take a turn. I'm not sure how you get picked for that job, but at that point, so what would you do at that point if you were one of those people brought? Like, are you not even waiting for the second guy to fall, right?
No, I'm straight up pretending like, this is normal, because I'm thinking that if I make a scene and I'm next. So I'm just gonna pretend like everything's fine, and then when get my chance, I'm out. But until then, I don't know if I'm running through the woods. I'm just gonna play it off like nothing happened. Like, that's really thanks for inviting me to your culture and blah blah blah. And I hope to see you guys again. They're just like friendly as all get out, just till I can get out of there. And then I'm calling the police and like, you know what? There's some people out there that are jumping off a cliff.
After that first lady falls, I am taking off.
You were running. They're going to catch you.
To that pickup truck. Hot wiring that son of a bitch. I don't know how, but my instincts will kick in. Black. And speeding off through the woods in that pickup truck, hitting anything that gets in my way in a blind fury of escape.
I'm pretty sure they're prepared for that.
I don't know.
I feel like there's people all around the perimeter of that place. Just
I'm a wily son of a bitch.
Okay.
I'm clawing, fighting, kicking ankles. Yeah. But yeah, that was. But to two people's point, the two European British, I think they're from London, I believe, flip out. They go crazy. They're they call them murderers and all that stuff. But Pele's group, one of the Josh, the guy who feels like he's the smartest in the room, he already knew what was going to happen because he's been researching this culture or cultures like this for his thesis. And Mark, or not Mark, but Christian, it seemed to awaken something in him. Like it seemed to, like, he's like, oh wow. He kind of became like a less smart Josh. He then wanted to research this culture because of that. And then Danny,
he thought that was the most interesting thing he had ever seen, so he wanted to make his thesis that to try to win all kinds of whatever accolades you would get from that, and be like, oh look, this guy researched this crazy thing that happened out there. That's so amazing. You're so smart. Blah blah blah. He was just going for the fame of it. He didn't really care.
Which Josh points out to him. Josh is like, dude, this is my life. This isn't something I just doing for a hobby. Like, I've been studying this, which rightfully so, they point out throughout the movie. He's taking notes. He knows ruins and runes and all that stuff. He's into it. But then Christian, the self-absorbed guy, walks in and just blatantly comes out and says, I'm going to do my thesis here. And I think Josh had the right reaction, Luckily, it didn't turn into a knock. I thought he was going to hit him, but yeah, it didn't turn into a fight or anything. And Mark was asleep the whole time.
Yes.
And Danny wanted to leave, but how did that not? Why did she not leave? I forget.
She was packing, and then Pele. I keep feeling like I'm saying his name wrong, but he came in and basically convinced her to stay for the most part, and then kind of let her know that he had some form of feelings for her.
Yeah, he grabbed her hand.
Wanted to explain how. And then wanted to explain like how he had lost his parents as well, but like the community saved him. Basically, it was like they were still there for him. It's like he never really lost, even though he lost his parents, he still had a family to fill whatever voids that would make. So he was trying to explain to her and let her know this can be your home.
And meanwhile, Robert mentioned this earlier. These people were walking towards a big yellow triangle building. And then they said, we can't go in there. And they turned. When they turned, someone asked, what's this? And there was a tapestry there that told a story. It told a story of a girl going through her time for the first time, clipping pubic hairs off and putting them in someone's food. So meanwhile, while all this stuff that we just explained happened, there's a girl who is going through this phase, and she set her eyes on Christian.
Yes. And it's weird. I think it's weird that she said. I mean, he's supposed to be. I mean, and they even do explain at some point. There's like they still have the same taboo of incest in their community, even though they use it to some effect to create somebody who's basically like an oracle for them.
Yes.
Who can give them visions and let the elders decipher it to find out what's going to be in their holy book next. Because I guess their holy book is like a continually evolving thing, as opposed to just one solid. It's done. This is what you follow.
Yeah.
And I just thought, because he seems like such a bad person throughout the majority, well, I guess the whole movie, that, I mean, it's like, why would that person, other than just because they needed some outside DNA?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Here's where the Wickerman of it all comes in. They needed that outside sperm. So
that was it, because there was nothing good about the guy. So
no. Yeah.
They just needed his genetics.
He was just the pick of the litter. You think Mark could have been if he had not peed on that tree? Or
I think there was another girl that was checking him out, and I think after he did the defacing of the ancestral tree, I think it was done. It was over for him,
and did not care about it. It's just a tree. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think he was more useful as a sacrifice, and she may not have been at the proper time, and because they viewed everything as like spring, summer, fall, and winter. So she may not have been in that summer phase yet to be able to do that. So,
but things do get even more weird than what we've already described. I don't want to skip too much, but skip ahead. Mark fights the big one because, well, he kind of deserves it. He just gets asked to go, and he goes, and is never seen again. Well, he's seen again, but it ain't him. Someone's wearing a Mark suit, like that Eggert suit from Men in Black. Sugar. Someone's wearing a Mark suit. Josh is I don't know if he would have survived if he hadn't been an idiot. What do you think?
I think he was chosen because he was an idiot. He was going to go for the info above appreciating their culture and following the rules. So I think the person, because they thank Paley at the end of the movie for his intuition, for being able to spot these people. So I think he was going to get it eventually, because they set it up perfectly for him. They said, yeah, you can't take pictures of this book. Absolutely not. And then they leave the book right there wide open with this guy with the phone. So yeah, he was going to do something wrong.
And Christian eats a pube cake of some kind.
And they show her making that special pie.
Yes.
Like when they invite Danny in to help, make the pies for everybody, she's making her own very special one. And I don't know if you noticed, like when he was drinking, like they had their cups sitting in front of him while he was eating the pie. Did you notice the color of his drink was slightly off compared to everybody else's? Yeah. So yeah, I think that he had a little extra something in his juice to help him trip out or whatever. Yeah,
that was her, special time juice, because that was one of the tapestry pictures, was her standing over a gauntlet, a drinking glass dripping into it. So yeah, that was so Josh and Mark are out of the picture. Then things get even weirder.
Don't forget the two people from London also are gone by now. The two people from London are also gone by now. One disappears, and they come up with this story of how he got into a truck and went to the wherever to get help or something. I don't know. And then the other one's like, "This is ridiculous." So
very in love. They come up with this story about how one just, I'm just gonna go to the train station without you.
Yep. And then the other girl disappears right after that. So it's like pretty obvious that what's going on here.
And they were lesser characters anyway, so you kind of figured they were gonna not last very long. But yeah, the black guy didn't die first. Hey, we're moving up the food. But yeah, we get into it's time for Mark or Christian to consummate the ritual.
Let's not forget the flower dance, because I feel like that's fairly important.
Very
that because it kind that does help to separate the two. They basically had to separate Danny from Christian, and that's, I don't know if that's part of the plan, I'm sure, and I don't know if they knew for sure she was going to win, or if it was like they, threw themselves out on purpose. Sure. Yeah, just to make sure she won. I couldn't really get a fix on that, but I feel like she won fair and square.
I think so too.
Yeah, so they had to make her dance around this pole
with all the other village girls
while tripping out, basically in defiance of the Dark One that they mentioned at some point in the movie. I'm not sure who the Dark One was, but they had to dance, and basically the Dark One made people dance until they would die. Like they couldn't stop dancing or something. But now, in defiance of him, they do it.
Let's say it right, Robert. The Black One.
Okay,
is racist sons of bitches. I read that. I was like, oh, okay. The Black ones came and took all your women. That's right, motherfuckers. What up? I'm sorry.
Anywho, so she dances and she wins, and that separates her from Christian, and that's when they go after Christian. And then there's a scene that I'm probably thinking is one from the movie that no one's ever going to forget.
The sex scene?
Yes.
Dear Lord, Robert, you I like to put myself in these scenarios, so I'm going to throw you in here too.
Okay.
You're about to get ushered into meet with this young lady who wants you. You've agreed to meet with this young lady who wants you, but you walk in there. Granted, he is tripping major balls.
Yeah, I don't think he had too much control.
Yeah, but then you open that door and there's 7 elderly grandmas, and all of them are naked. And then there's this young lady who you want is on a platter of flowers, but she's surrounded by these ladies who are chanting sex noises. And then they proceed to go into the weirdest sex scene I've ever seen in my life. And I gotta tell you, even if I'm halfway through the act and some old lady grabs my face and goes, ooh, I'm out. I don't care how. I'm out. What the fuck are you doing? You see, I'm busy. I think you're thinking of me right now.
Doesn't really faze him either. He just keeps going and he stares at that woman instead of the person that he's with. Not to mention the old woman who jumps in and starts pushing him.
Taking too long. Oh, the younger one who he's doing it to is like finished, and the older lady's just like, I'll help.
It is exciting. I must say that's a crazy scene.
And it goes on for so long. Oh man. Meanwhile, poor Danny is now back from her situation, which was a happy little flower dance. Mm-hmm. Like she was fine, and then she hears the these old ladies who are chanting way too loud, not being discreet at all about this sexual act. Danny sees that and just loses it, as one should after seeing what we just described. Mm-hmm. And then has a cry with the village girls.
This is a scene, though. This was a really powerful scene. I think it connected her with the rest of the family, and that's why. I mean, that was the moment, and I don't think it was just mimicry throughout the movie either. No. You hear a lot of people. There's a lot of sounds being mimicked by. I think this culture, these people actually literally felt everything that the other people in the culture felt. Like
I said, like when the old man was agonizing in pain after he messed up his jump. Like they were, just doing that same pain noises that he was. So you're absolutely right.
I think they just had a heightened sense, and I think Pele hinted at it at the beginning, like when he was talking about the energy coming up through the earth, and connecting with people and all that stuff. I think it was all. I think they actually felt what other people were feeling, or they could.
And I gotta say, that was a trick that I used to use on my niece and nephew when I would babysit them. They they would cry, I would cry back at them. They just look at me like, what are you doing?
That sounds so cruel.
They would stop instantly. They're so confused.
Good tip, bro.
Yeah, so if you got kids, you do what they did in this movie. It works. Robert, you want to have a good cry together? You're not joining in.
No. I haven't had the little magic juice.
Fine. But Danny is one of the loudest criers I've ever seen in my life. From the start of the movie to this part, that chick had some lungs on her.
And when she was in the group, I think she got louder.
She did.
I think it was because of the group, though, because it was just being like not because everybody else was crying too, but she was feeling. Like she was seeing that everybody else was feeling what she was feeling. So she was just finally, instead of like running into a bathroom and trying to control it, she was just finally letting all that out.
Yeah, because that's another amazing point you just point out. Every time she would try, for the most part, she would try and contain it. Mm-hmm. She would, no, don't do this. You're better than this. You're stronger than this. And then she'd either run away and so where she can do it alone. But she finally had those people to join in on, and I'm making light of it because we are a comedy movie podcast. But yeah, it was a very beautiful moment, just and for the reasons Robert described, like the connection that these people had together, which is doubled in the end because Danny becomes queen, and she
like the May Queen, like they called it.
Yes, she is forced to make a choice.
Yes, and you knew what the choice was going to be.
Oh yeah,
and it was the final. It was like kind of like the final test. It was like, who are you going to pick? Mm. You know, this person who has not been right for you, which Pele had mentioned. He's like, does he really feel like home? I mean, which one feels better, us, or him? So I mean, and plus she was mad because what she had just witnessed. So
and still probably high as well.
Yeah, the choice was pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and he, after Danny, or Christian's sex act, after
he runs naked through the village?
Yeah, he realizes he messed up, and, because it was right after the one he was with kind of does this little happy glee dance. I can feel it growing inside. She rolls around on her back. He just dashes out of there naked, and he hears them crying all in unison, and he gets freaked out even more. He's like, what the fuck? that's weirder than what I just came out of, which it was not, Christian. I'm just telling you that. But then he runs into the chicken coop, and he finds a British guy in there freaking Red Dragon. Mm-hmm. That was flashed in my head. Do you see? Mm-hmm. I've transformed. Do you see? I was like, what the fuck? He's in there skewed up with flowers on his eyes. His back has been split open into wings, and he's still alive at that point. Because they showed him kind of, and I don't know if it was a drug still tripping, but it's because at some points I was like, man, am I high? Because they do some incredible effects that we skipped over, like while they're on these drugs. She has a crown of flowers, and the black spots on the flowers seem to breathe, and it just it was amazing. But yeah, he gets found in there and gets hit with some paralyzing powder of some kind. And yes, from that point on, he cannot move. He can only see. He can't move or speak. And he gets put in a bear suit.
Yeah, they put him in an actual bear.
That bear that was just sitting there, it's a bear. It's a bear. And if you guys are still listening and made it this far, if you are, there is a bear dancing video that they put out. There's a bear in this movie in a cage at one point in the movie that they kill and put him in the bear suit. But you can buy that bear in a cage. They put it out, A24, the fine folks over there. So yeah, and there's a fine commercial for that bear in a cage toy. But yeah, Christian and all the dead bodies of the people who were in these groups get shoved into that yellow pyramid to where you couldn't go to, and they get Wicker Manned.
Yep. As well as two people from the actual village.
Yeah,
I think they were ones who had brought people, and they ended up not being the right people, so they ended up being put into the burning house as well for some reason.
Pele's
and I think they tricked him. I think it was weird. I think they tricked him.
Yeah,
he's like the guy comes in. He's like, take this sap, and you won't feel any pain. Blah blah blah. That dude clearly felt pain when he caught on fire, and so everybody else out there who was watching in the audience, or whatever you want to call it, like felt that same pain. It was like, so I don't understand why they tricked them.
I think it's what you said though. They failed at finding the right people. You know, I think you hit the nail right on the head. And poor Christian sat there in a bear suit, unable to scream, unable to move, just burning alive. And what a way to go! Burning alive.
I guess they did mention earlier in the movie that village shared everything.
Yes.
As far as like raising kids, and then obviously emotions. So I guess if two of their team are going to fail, then everybody's going to feel the punishment of that failure, which is to be burned alive.
Yeah. Jeez.
So.
It was brutal too.
It makes sense.
And you notice Mark's body had the jester's cap on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they knew who the fool was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a brief description because there's so much more in this movie. I'm gonna go ahead and say go watch for me for sure.
Absolutely.
Robert,
I mean, if you liked Hereditary, I mean that was the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this one is not better than Hereditary. Hereditary is still, to me, like a new classic, and like as far as it's a new classic. This one is
and Hereditary was more horror.
And I think it was probably easier, more relatable. I mean, this one went really deep. This one really had a lot of metaphors and whatnot in it. But yeah, this was definitely a go watch. I mean, I think he's doing some great work. I can't wait to see what he does next. Yeah. I'm super impressed by this guy. Yeah,
he hit it out of the park with this one for me too. That's MidSommar. Hold on. I don't know. I never got that whole breathing thing they did throughout the movie. But I don't know if that hit any synopsis in your head, but throughout the whole movie they did this, and I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe that was them sharing breath. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's MidSommar. It's where you can find us. GoWatchMovie.com and anywhere else a podcast can be found. Download, share, and all that jazz. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Give us some likes and shares. We're much appreciated. And join in on the conversation. Send us questions, whatever you want, movie suggestions, all that jazz. We're going to get back into those eventually. But yeah, that is Go Watch a Movie, episode 92. I'm Kelvin.
And I'm Robert.
Robert, let's have a good cry. Go watch a movie.
Trust me. All right?